Hey everybody, that was the Cucumbers with, as you may have guessed the title, My Boyfriend. I think they're from Jersey. I saw them in 1989 in Baltimore called the 8x10 Club, and they had kick-ass bands there. They had like the Ramones and all kinds of cool stuff. Great venue. So, and the Slicky Boys, they were good too. So I'm going to cover the Nomad, the many roamings of the Nomads. So, this is actually when I started reading comics. I mean, this is, you might notice there's a theme here where it's like 1974 was the year that I became aware that I was a person. Because I had no interest really until comic books. And just, the bug hit me bad, and right away I started drawing my own comics. I used a little lined notebook paper, and unfortunately, when I was in my early 20s, I threw it all away because I was having a fit of artistic temperament. I thought, I'm never going to get into comics. And that's probably the only real regret in my life, is I don't have those comics anymore, because I had a pretty big output at the time, especially in the summer. You could do that every day. So, okay, I'm going to pull this copy out here. Imagine this on there was 3 spinner racks at National Record Mart, Monroeville, and my dad says he had heard me use the term Marvel mags. I was using all the Stan Lee parlance, and he says, "Oh, go in and get some Marvel mags." And I got $3 worth, which was, that was 12 comics, and there's no. These weren't taxed as periodicals quite yet. I could have got more, but I didn't want to be greedy about it. I don't know why. And there was another book or two I might have liked, but I just thought, I'll just get these. And Captain America always, attracted my interest. But when I started reading it, he had retired. I love that face there. Anyway, let's get back a bit. A few issues. Well, what happened is Captain America must die. Not really. It's just one of those dramatic splashes. What happened was Cap wanted to quit, and this was in the wake of the Watergate situation with Richard Nixon. And the whole country was really down about it. And but what happened was Steve Englehart, the writer, went like one step further. He made Nixon like the head of the secret empire, and even at the last panel or two, even have an unseen Nixon shoot himself rather than go to jail, which was kind of really weird. But whatever. So he's questioning if he can represent America properly. And this is basically going back through the origin tale and everything. And Falcon's telling him, like, don't give up, whatever. Well, for a while, the book is just The Falcon. But they keep Captain America, you'll notice, because they don't want you to forget that he's going to stay around. And what happens, I never had this issue. My cousin had the issue, and I read it like years after the fact. This Golden Archer is actually Hawkeye. He bothers Steve a lot. He attacks him from, all kinds of, he just shows up and gets away. So he's like, hey, maybe I'd play the Golden Archer, toss off some corny Thor talk, and force you to become a super guy again. I wanted to show you what's up, like you showed me, Steve. I said, Cap's not coming back. Oh, I believe it. And he goes, that's all I'm suggesting. He goes, take on a new identity. You mean a whole new superhero? Why not? Hey, everybody, why not? So this was, and like I said, I'd seen a Captain America in a reprint of the Avengers in Marvel Triple Action. So he's walking around. He's happy as a loon. The Serpent Squad was so freaking cool, and then Mark Grunwald took them even further and made like the Serpent Society into like a corporation. So he's like, I'm gonna be a new superhero. Oh, that's nice. Sharon, what's the matter? I thought you'd be pleased. And she's like, this is the only time we've ever had together without any of those action getting in the way, and she basically shows him the door, and I don't blame her, really. It's oh, Steve, I didn't push you to quitting, but since you did, I've never been happier. And so he's kind of being a bit insensitive, but he's just got super hearing in his blood, so he gets some clothes that he ordered special, and he says, never realized before how much effort that was spared through the government's giving me my costume. I keep trying to design something fantastic. So I'm getting away from the red, white, and blue. I've already picked this all-weather fabric in somber tones. So the name should be something dark, mysterious. I hope a bat doesn't fly in my window, or I'll be in real trouble. Something like adventurer or daredevil, privateer, swashbuckler. Well, I can do this in a way that you don't see the reveal if you haven't known already. He's like freebooter, Captain Blood, and he says, "I wish I had a thesaurus. The gypsy, vagrant, migrant, hobo, bum, not classy enough." And then finally, the nomad. That strikes me as a very John Romita pose. Or Sal could have done it too, but John Romita was designing everything at the time. He designed so much, so many characters. And I can just easily, just like Wolverine, where Herb Trimpe literally took the pose of Wolverine that was in the design that John Romita did, and copied it and added a little more flair to it in the Hulk. So I kind of picture this being the same way. And wait, where's my Marvel value stamp? That red ghost. I used to cut them up, but I never had any idea what to do with them. So, hey man, I wonder if these are still right. I wonder if these go for a lot of money. So he's like, I feel new and great. And he does look cool. So there's some supervillains, and here he comes. Who blue blazes this guy? Don't stand there gawking. Get into the theater now. And oddly enough, they're showing clips of Captain America during World War II. And they say, and is respectively dedicated to him wherever he may be. That's an ironic comment to make my new entrance on. And meanwhile, the criminals everywhere in the streets or in high office tremble at his name. The name of Captain America. And he goes, the name's Nomad. He's not giving it away. He's just responding to the eel. Here comes Princess Python. I love the similarities here. Just how he's holding up that snake. And what's really amazing is he flips the cobra. Wham! He tripped over his cape. I always knew I'd see that happen someday. He rips the cape off. I'm going to get him back. And, but I mean, that was just a trip to see a superhero trip over a cape. It was double the trip. A double trip is waiting for you. Well, in the meantime, he's doing all this other stuff. We switch to Frank Robbins from Sal Buscema. What's really weird is I hated Frank Robbins. This is the old chestnut where, and now I love him now that I'm older. And what's weird is, even though I openly spoke about my disdain about him, like when I was growing up, there must have been something there, because I would reread these issues over and over again, and if the art was so horrendous, I wouldn't even do that. You know what I mean? So, anyway, a lot of people are trying to be Captain America in the wake of Cap's retirement being public. So this young guy from Brooklyn who works at Steve Rogers' gym decides he's going to be Cap. Falcon's kind of like trying to show him, this ain't going to be for fun for him, because maybe I can show him the ropes, but then the kid's doing really good. Maybe I have a boy wonder on my hands. But here comes the Red Sky. This issue gives me a lot of memories, because I can't remember what grade it was, grade school, at Christmas time, we were all to exchange gifts with each other. And I had received a model, a car model. Kind of you pop off and super glue it together and all that stuff. And it was cool, but across the room, Chucky Mason got 3 comics, and right away my eyes pivoted to him, and I zoomed over to him, and he only got 3 of them. And if you're talking financial stuff, which doesn't really matter in the big scheme of things, he got 3 comics, 75 cents, and I had like a $6 model. And I asked him if we could trade, and he was like, sure. And I was just like, yes, another Marvel comic. Well, anyway, this guy Roscoe, the kid there, he ends up being killed, and Nomads very upset. This is kind of a really goofy panel here. Oh my God, it's Roscoe. So the Red Skull says he wants the real Captain America. I don't want to be Captain America. There is a lot of, I would say, Romita redraws on these faces. So he gives a speech. He leaps. I think got one leg on wacky. And now he is Captain America. So that's the end of the very first Nomad. Okay, give me a second. I'm going to set this aside. I only have so much table room. Well, the next guy who took on that name, it was years later, was issue 361. So we're talking like, what is it, 80 issues later. And he shows up. He's like, hey, you're right. This is the beginning of the legendary J.M. DeMatteis by exec John Beatty era. Although John Beatty didn't get to ink a lot of this, because when it says Quick Draw Studios, that means a lot of inkers, had to help get this book out on time. And Steve's hanging out, and he gets an offer to be in Captain America the movie, or at least oversee it. So he ends up going to California, and they're seeing this new guy, the Nomad. I've made the move westward in order to stop those obnoxious devils, and I won't rest until their vile breed stamped out. I messed up there, but it doesn't roll off the tongue. So they review that. He ends up coming off a plane, and here comes Nihilists, these Nihilist characters. And here comes Nomad interfering with Cap's longitude. So he's like saying, Nomad's being a ham, and he follows up. Cap wipes everything up. This is very Vinnie Colletti here. So he meets the kid who care for a Perrier brother. So this Nomad's getting a lot of promotion from someone else, and we'll find out later. He's a mean SOB, though. Throws his underlings around. Well, another disaster happens. Firing from a helicopter. Cap throws a shield, but it goes through the woman, and he catches it in time. How about a kiss for the camera's beautiful? Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a copter full of armed maniacs to stop. So this goofball, he tries to help Cap out, blam, 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 and he goes, what is that idiot doing? So basically, Nomad's just getting in the way, and he's a showboat. Cap decides to kind of keep him at arm's length. He goes, thanks for the assist, friend. It was appreciated. Of course, anytime, Captain America, anytime. We're both on the same team. I really don't believe that, mister. But you don't, and neither do I. So he gets bitch slapped by the bad guy, who has one of those cigarette holders, and it's not hard to guess who it is. Well, in this theater, there's more of those nihilists. He's throwing the bomb. Cap pretty much has it, but the bomb scoots up to Nomad's hand, and he's got to have a magnet in his glove to grab that thing. So he's being a glory hound, and he's trying to show off, and he gets blown away. His name was Fred something, and he just wanted to be a celebrity. And he got the chance to be the Nomad, but he was just a useful, I don't want to say idiot, that's kind of, well, yeah, a useful idiot. Well, like a lot of people get blinded by Hollywood. I gotta find his name if I can. Maybe not. I don't know. Oh, Eddie Furble. That's what it was, his name. And so he got killed. And really interesting stuff by James Demetrius. I always wonder if I'm saying his name right. It's just the only I've heard. What's his name? Chris from Comics Trope pronounced it that way, and so I'm sticking to it because he's been doing YouTube a lot longer than I have. These epic collections are just awesome, aren't they? Yes. They've made Marvel Masterworks that catch up to this, but I don't want to double dip. I mean, it's a good way to go broke. So these epic collections are great options. So, wow, what a beautiful cover. And I love the gray tones here. It's an old World War II film. And it talks about oh, shit, I just jumped ahead. What did I do? Huh. Okay. Hang in there, everybody. Just Cap's with his girlfriend, Barney Rosenthal. And they're just hanging out, about to make up. And there's a knock at the door. He goes, "Hiya, Cap, Steve. I hope not interrupting anything." And the face staring back at Steve is one that has haunted him for 40 years. A little older, perhaps, minus some baby fat, but essentially unchanged. 24 thoughts, 24 potential reactions scatter through Roger's mind, but the one he finds expression is rage, savage, uncontrollable rage. "I'm only going to say this once, punk. Who are you?" Wham! And he says, "I'm the Bucky from the 1950s. Now, what happened was, oh, okay. Dogs are on the hunt. Okay. Hang on, you two wacky, lovable plush toys. First of all, let me mention something. Dr. Faustus and Red Skull and a lot of other characters, especially in the 60s, they kept trying to fake out Steve Rogers that Bucky had come back. There was a Gil Kane issue, 2 issues of Tales of Suspense that he had done, were 2 or 3 with the Red Skull, and one of them was like, "Bucky's back," and he was buying into it. He's like, Bucky, what's wrong?" And Bucky's beating the crap out of him. It turned out Bucky was a robot, and it wasn't a real Bucky. And then later on, when Cap got his own book, I don't know, like 9 issues later, "Oh, Bucky, you're back." And even when Rick Jones hit the scene back in the early Avengers days, I'm talking issue 4, when Cap got defrosted, he saw Rick Jones, like, "You're so much like Bucky. Bucky." So that's why he attacked this guy, the Bucky from the 50s. I'm gonna go jump back a few. Where did I put that? Hang on, everybody. Hang on. Dang, where did I put that thing? I just watched my fingers goof around for a while. Man, I knew I had. Okay. There you go. Whoa. So, this goes back to a very popular run Steve Englehart did with Sal Buscema. Very long run with Captain the Falcon. The sales were in the toilet because Stan didn't know what to do with the character other than have him mope. And he even had a Gene Colan issue where Bucky came back again. And so it's like spinning its wheels, essentially. And then Englehart really went in and really made the book his own. So, the real Captain America and Bucky. That god-awful costume that Barry Windsor Smith designed. John Verporten on the inks. He was the production guy. He was the one who always got the deadlines done and everything. But he was also an inker because he knew what would reproduce. That's why his stuff was so bold. I loved his stuff. He did quite a few issues of this era. So, these guys are acting really weird. Like, Bucky's like really hitting Falcon with a slur. And Falcon responds. And they think he's a Rusky, i.e. Russian. He came around during the 1950s, back when these guys were looking for Russian spies everywhere. Okay. And, what happened was, he has them hogtied, so time for the origin. The other Captain America, he was a big fan of Cap. Cap disappeared. And Bucky dies in flaming explosion. So he was obsessed. He became a teacher, and he found the super soldier serum. He said, I could be the next Captain America. And so he experimented it, and he got the nod, and he got plastic surgery, and then later on, 1953, since our troops fought this war for the United Nations, we dare not unleash a symbol of national interest at this time, so plans for you are canceled. What? You can't? Discussion is closed. So he goes back to the Lee School. Yeah, I'm sure Stan Lee wrote it just for fun, stuck that in there. And he even looks like Bucky. And he tells him about it. He's like, golly! So it starts a reprint of the 1950s Cap. It only lasted like 3 or 6 issues. Early John Romita work. Look how influenced he's so influenced by I'm drawing a blank. The guy who did Terry and the Pirates. I can't believe I can't remember his name. Milton Caniff. Thank you, Drew. So what happens is they added this extra thing where Bucky's like, okay, So they both have super strength. And, come on, turn those pages, buddy. So they fought all these villains, and then they're beating up everybody. Well, he says, they were heroes, but we got to freeze them. And okay, I'm not quite there yet. Where did I go? Oh. Did I jump ahead? Yes. Let me think. Anyway, that Bucky. I sound like Norman. What's his name? Norm Macdonald when he gets excited. So anyway, that caught you up here. So he's forgiving the Bucky from the 50s because the guy said he went through all kinds of all kinds of mental training to break the barriers that he had way back when, and his super soldier theorem was out of his system. So he was ready to take off. And there's Madame Hydra, a.k.a. the Viper. And she dresses up like Bernadette. And it's so funny. Like back then, everybody sort of had the same... They had the same features. There was never any real... like the model sheets were basically just for the clothes. And so here comes Bucky, a.k.a. Jack Monroe, who was the guy who portrayed Bucky back then. But... Cap's on a mission. Dum Dum Dugan is flying Jack Monroe, this time dressed as Nomad. Kid, that getup you're wearing belonged to a fella named Nomad, and Nomad just happened to be Steve Rogers. Steve? You can't mean that. There was a time when he stopped being Captain America? Afraid there was, Junior, but it didn't last long. So, he joins the fray. He's giddy as hell. Man, what a great book. Like when Roger Stern and John Byrne left abruptly because Jim Shooter decided he wanted to make it, on a whim, Jim Shooter decided to make every comic at Marvel for 1 month be a standalone issue. And he was going to say that was from there on in. Every book was self-contained, no continued stories. And so Roger Stern left, and Byrne, followed suit, as solidarity, because it was, and sure enough, Shooter changed his mind almost immediately. He was a very odd person. And although those who've worked with him have had stronger terms, the Captain, Anthony. Well, time passes, Nomad moves on, and He changes up a bit, makes it a little more street level. He's got the brown boots, and these are like stun discs, which are basically just discs that he throws. And this is another time where Steve Roger retires. However, it's a completely different reason. What happened was he, sometime back, like a year ago, Mark Grunwald came up with this idea that, well, the government, owed Cap for all those years he was missing. He was still on the books as far as serving the, the country. So he got like $1 million. And so what he did is, instead of getting a fancy car or a fancy house, he opened up a hotline, like a 1-800 hotline. If you're like in the Midwest and there's a supervillain in town, like the Rhino, call Cap and he's on the job. And that was a great idea. It happened a lot too. And he had assistance of some teenage hacker kid, and who was sort of like the go-between. And it was great. However, later, I don't know if Grunwald came up with this, because Grunwald, he saw the big picture, and Grunwald's finally getting his due. They did one omnibus of his run of Cap. He did 10 years on Captain America, and it never got dull. Then I saw they're doing a second one, and rightfully so, because this was a book I constantly got. And what happens is Cap is gone. Oh. The government decides, well, since we made the Cap uniform, we want it back. You can't wear it unless you agree to our terms and follow what we decide is right. And that Henry, what's his name? Henry Gyrich, or however you say it. I wrote a note to myself down here. Anyway, I'm talking about the guy with the buzz cut and the glasses, who basically is a government shill. He was the one who came up with that initiative. So Cap says, hey, I'm gone. You could take your costume. So his friends are trying to find him. He disappears. He kind of does one of those Easy Rider things, driving around the country, just to get away from it all. So Nomad shows up. Basically, I say way too much. He has a girlfriend named Vagabond, and he says, "Don't sweat it, babe." And he starts getting this real attitude. And this is D-Man, aka Demolition Man, who his audacious costume is he has the original Daredevil uniform but a Wolverine mask, and I like it. So many people bust, goof on it, but I don't know why. It's kind of fun. You telling me Cap made you his partner? Not officially. He did trust me to take care of the computer hotline terminal since he's been on leave, and I've been responding to his urgent hotline calls. And Falcon shows up, and however, Nomad, he gets jealous because, well, this guy, he was in Unlimited Class Wrestling, which was a thing that I don't know if Mike Carlin started it or somebody else. It was basically wrestling, but Unlimited Class, meaning it might have been Grunwald, who it was wrestling, but big, super, bad guy. I mean, good guys or bad guys wrestled big time. Like there was a guy called the Armadillo. He was this huge Armadillo character, and D-Man was one of those. And he was very successful, made a lot of money. So it just bugs Nomad. And he's like, probably can't handle the responsibility of taking care of the hotline. And meanwhile, time passes. And he changes his costume to the Captain, and it's basically the costume that was used later on by U.S. Agent. And the guy who is now the U.S. Agent, John Walker, he's filling in Cap's shoes. When Cap retired, he got offered the job, and he was his name was Super Patriot, not to be confused with the Eric Larson character in Image. And he always considered himself better than Captain America. Like, I'm the New Deal, Cap's old and rusty and everything, so he was a real a-hole. Let me see. So meanwhile, Diamondback, who is from the Serpent Squad, Serpent Society, she joins the good guys because she's in love with Captain America. And this lady reeks of availability. Wonder if she's safe. See, he totally turns to an asshole. And the art is by Kieran Dwyer, who I believe is the stepson of John Byrne. And there's no real... I mean, there's a little bit of that in there, but it's completely different. So, nice going, Dunderhead. You let the Cobra get away. How Cap would ever have you considered making a clumsy moron like you as partners beyond me? But... So... Yay. And Viper's having fun. So many people are getting possessed of the lizards. Nomad's doing what he's doing, but he gets piled on. He just got cocky. So they end up in jail. Sidewinder, the leader of the Serpent Society, who originally showed up in Marvel 2-in-1, I think number 64 or 65, he started the Serpent Society, where they were a business with benefits and all that stuff, and it was basically a front for their stealing money and stuff. So Diamondback, who was a member, she goes back with him, and what is it? D-Man doesn't want to. He's just a real noble character, and he takes Nomad. And Nomad shows up completely drunk at this bar. Although it looks more like a Waffle House, but it's a bar. Judging by the pyramid of mugs and his slurred speech, Nomad's drunk. Where's D-Man? Dweeb Man's in the slammer. So my ex-chick, Priscilla. Can you believe, Steve, she dumped me for that muscle-bound ditz brain. Look, I'm out here. Blah, 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 blah. So he's like, let's go to the government, kick some ass, blah, blah, blah. And Cap's like, it's not that easy. So that's the last we see him for a while. And as you see, he's getting an attitude. That ain't right. What the hell's wrong with him? Attitude. So later on, he grew this really kick-ass mustache. As I say, he rocked the mustache. Okay, rock the mustache. Rock the mustache. Anyway, also, in the dark days... Oh, I ain't even going to get to that yet. Nomad, Jack Monroe, he totally changes his look. He comes one of those streetwise guys who, with the long coat and everything, and he just has the end. He doesn't. I think he's still a stun disc, but this is way before the Matrix. I don't think Matrix took anything from him, but he merited his own series. He had a 4-issue series where he had shorter hair in a similar outfit, and it must have sold well enough. And Marvel was pumping out comics left and right. Now, I actually picked this one up because I liked the backstory of him. And I was just curious because he was a streetwise guy, but he wasn't one of those guys who would easily hide, or he was just an upfront guy. He was protecting this little baby, this girl that was nicknamed Bucky. She was taken away from a crack mother, something like that. But this was a little more expensive, but you got a poster with it. Let's see how this looks. See if I can do this right. Okay. Wanted Nomad, alias Jack Monroe. Really cool art by, I can't think of his name, Samuel Clark Hobbacher. Okay. State and federal authorities are seeking suspected connection with the vigilante-style execution of drug lord Umberto Cefilius. If cited, please contact your local authorities. Do not attempt to apprehend suspect. Suspect is considered armed and dangerous. That's really cool. I actually forgot that was in there. And then I was getting ready to do research for this story. I planned this like 2 weeks ago, and I just faltered. I had to reread some stuff because it just wasn't coming out right. So we're getting into the first issue. Nomad's buying diapers. It actually throws me back to that Nicolas Cage movie I can't think of. Anyway, Raising Arizona. Yeah. Okay. So this young child, not even a toddler, Bucky, is on his back like a papoose. And he's fighting crime like that. That's so funny. Mark McKenna does some great inks. I mean, this is a total Neil Adams swipe, but so many people, when they start in comics, they're either like Jack Kirby clones or John Buscema clones, and there's a ton of Neil Adams clones who eventually settle into their own style. You know, it's a good touchstone to learn how to do stories. So, see, the baby's on his back. You gonna pay for that pack of diapers or what? Gotcha, wadu. Yeah, well, they don't smell like roses to me either. Some cool stuff going on. Really neat stuff. Yeah, that's very Neil Adams. I've seen a ton of people use that. I like that nose, that little button nose. I like that. I like her big glasses. That was before big glasses were a thing. There he is, Peter Gyrich, or Gyrich, talking about Nomad. I like the colors, too. Good choice of colors. Who did the colors? Hang on, everybody. It's done by Joe Rosas. I don't know who he is. He's not Joe Russis. There was a guy named George Russis who colored a ton of Marvel comics during the early Silver Age, but no relation, and it's not spelled the same. So you see badass Bucky. He's doing the nomad thing. He's being the nomad. He's going across the country and take on. That's probably like pencil drawing that he decided not to have inked. And it gives a great look. So there is Le Nomad. And here we go. Give me a sec. Well, here's a side note. In the mid 90s, comics were selling like shit. Even Image comics were selling like shit. And Marvel comics were selling like shit. Because it was a glut. There was a lot of number ones. There's a lot of foil cover, special editions that were like $3 as opposed to the usual $1.50. Sometimes more, and it was just more and more of it. And there had to be a tipping point. That there's just no way that could be sustained. It was sustained a lot longer than I thought I ever expected. But so in a what do you call, like a shared desperation, Marvel they farmed out 4 titles to 2 Image guys. And the thing is, Mark Waid and Ron Garney were doing a great job at Captain America, and then they had the rug pulled out from them, but then thankfully they got to come back. So Rob, as usual, he does like a few issues, and then I don't know what he does. But there's the female Bucky that he created. And so essentially it was Rob Liefeld doing like Robin is Katie Kelly, who was in the Dark Knight Returns. So it's a lot like that. And later on, I'll tell you about this. It's still. We'll get back to this later. Well, that year came and went. It had its own pocket universe, so it sort of didn't really matter in the big scheme of things. Captain America, Winter Soldier. Yes, indeed. Steve Epting, fantastic artist and my personal friend, good guy. And he took over Captain America. Him and Ed Brubaker. They did a whole bunch of issues, like years. And if this run with those 2 creators had not been done, I don't think they would have made a Captain America movie. And the Winter Soldiers in this, they show how that comes about. What's really weird, though? This is how the comics news can be effed up sometimes. Before this, I had done 4 issues of Captain America inking Scott Eaton in a 4-issue story that was written by Robert Kirkman. And basically it was fan service, including service to us so-called grown-ups who are so-called professionals who are still fanboys. And I was going to bring because it's a side note, but we did 4 issues. But the thing is, the first day our first issue of the 4-issue arc came, they announced this. And I was so fucking pissed. I'm like, way to cannibalize your salespeople. It's basically saying, you don't have to pick up these 4 issues. They don't matter. That's almost exactly how it came off. But it's like, I know people learn stuff, but it's just, sometimes you have to pull back a little bit because, it sold okay, I guess, but not, I think a lot of people just ignored it. So here we go. This is like issue 7 of Cap, and it's the lonesome death of Jack Monroe. Well, the super soldier serum is causing his body to deteriorate, and even though his mental problems have been cured, his body is breaking down. And it's just because, Caps didn't do that to him. Actually, briefly it did with Mark Grunwald in a book called Fighting Chance. It was a year-long story. But I'm not going to talk about it. I'm getting off track again. And this is Jane Foster. It never looked like that. She always looked so matronly way back in the day. And, good old sneeze. Well, you can tell it's fall in Georgia because my sinuses are wrecked more so than usual. Well, he thinks about his life, and I think this is Tommy Lee Edwards, who I just love. I love his stuff. So he goes back as Nomad in the old, corny costume. He's coughing. He's just trying to fight crime while he's alive. And there's a lot of self-doubt. He's drinking more because why not? He's thinking because he's not going to live long anyway. And his mental problems are coming back because of all the things he'd seen and done and over the decades, how much things have changed. And then he sees something. Jack Monroe, I took his place before, and now he's outgrown me. He shed my skin. It's time to take my place. It all makes sense. Do I know you? But that's not the case. He wasn't dressed as Bucky. Maybe he was, but it was the Winter Soldier. And he killed Jack Monroe and framed him for a crime. He just framed him to make things nice and neat. Also, Cap, he ended up getting killed. Hold on a second. See, I got a lot of stuff. That's why it took me so long. The original Bucky became Cap. His costume was co-designed by Steve Epting and Alex Ross, and that lasted for a while. And then Cap came back, and Bucky stayed Winter Soldier, and he went back to being Winter Soldier. Let's see now. Let's see. Well, remember that girl, Ricky Barnes? Well, the Heroes Reborn version of Ricky Barnes left that world to enter Marvel's mainstream 616 universe. It turned out that either her father or grandfather was Bucky Barnes from the Heroes Reborn universe. It's kind of complicated. I don't fully understand if Nomad and Winter Soldier interacted or became close. And it's just nutty. Oh, and then for a while, before, there was a period where Bucky Barnes, or Nomad, I can't remember which, became Scourge of the Underworld. I wrote it down, but I forgot. I forgot what I did with it. Anyway, he became Scourge, who is one of those characters that kills off minor villains. The original Scourge had like this white skull mask and a cap and a suit, and he was killing off people like the Constrictor and just all these like low level of the Mirage and stuff like that. So I can't remember which one did it, but at this point I didn't really care. Anyway, that Ricky Barnes, she shows up, and she's now in the 616 universe, and that is a badass cover. That is friggin' cool. So she got taken from the Heroes Reborn universe to the regular 616 universe, which is cool. I love that design, by the way. And Now we get to Captain America. Great, contained story with John Romita Jr., written by Rick Remender. Remender? I don't know how you say it, but I've always enjoyed his work. Whoop, got ahead of myself. That was book 2. What I really love about this is they printed it on the cover. It's got this matte finish on the cover, because I just hate dust jackets. They're just irritating, and they can only bring sadness. Because I ripped one recently, and I was inconsolable. So, the French, who pretty much invented the graphic novel format, or at least made it mainstream, that's what they do. So why not? Well, Cap's in Dimension Z. Long story, and Arnim Zola is the leader of it. And there's a young kid who gets taken away from Zola by Captain America. And what happens is they end up hiding in this dimension. It's just like a whole different world. And Cap doesn't know how to get out. So 1 year later, Cap and the child really bonded. Really bonded. And this winter came quickly and brought the spider wolves. We got lucky, got out before the cave we camped in. We got out of the cave at camped in. But do not want to be here to see another winter. And look, using the shield like to cook stuff on. I mean, that's real survivalist stuff that's got to be done. If you're there for a year anyway. Just beautiful art. Just beautiful. I just love it. And she calls him Papa. I'm scared, Papa. Listen to me. We're okay. I'll find a way out. And so much great stuff goes on. I might have to reread this again. Really good stuff. There's a sort of a nod to Big Barda that Kirby did for DC. And then here's the second half. God, I love that. I think Dean White did the color on that. I'm a huge Dean White fan. And, they get personal. What was your dad like? And they just grow stronger in their bond. But later on, there's a revolt against Arnim Zola's armies. And a shield is there to inspire people. Comes over and kills one of these crab claw creatures. They're just really nasty. Like that. And so I was fighting a ghost, a wandering spirit of a man their master had brought here. The man who usurped Zola. Oh, here we go. Hang in there. I'll get it. With each mutate stronghold defeated, the legend of the wandering spirit grew. A ghost warrior who could neither be tracked nor injured, who offered hope to the hopeless, a wandering spirit from far beyond who remains on this plane to inspire the common man to stand up against all odds, to always stand up. A man with no name, no face, no home. A nomad. Pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool. I screwed up, though. It's actually a boy. It wasn't a girl with the long hair. It just happened to be a boy with long hair. Because I haven't read this in a while. I told you that. So that's a whole bunch of Nomads, but I think they're all authentic and really cool. And I hope you like this. And if you have other memories or if you have corrections of things I may have missed, I'm more than happy to read comments below. You can tell me if I'm wrong on stuff, or just add your personal recollections and what you think about Cap in general. And that's all for now. And please click like if you like the video, and if you haven't subscribed already, please hit subscribe. And if you see subscribe, then you'll see this little bell, and you bonk on top of it you'll get notifications when I do a new video. I've been doing more and more recently. Let me think what else. But leave any comments you want. I never delete any of them. I just, even if I disagree, because again, like I said, this is just like a fellowship of comic book appreciation, and no two minds think alike. But everybody who reads comic books knows that secret bond that comic books provide with other comic book fans. And, okay, enough of my pretentious horse shit. I hope you enjoyed this, and take care, everyone.